Chapter 6. And immediately my wife came near me, and crying out loud and weeping, she said,
Job, Job, how long will those sit upon the dunghill, outside of the city, pondering yet for a while and expecting to obtain your hope for salvation? And I have been wandering from place to place, roaming about as a hired servant. Behold, thy memory has already died away from the earth, and my sons and the daughters that I carried on my bosom, and the labors and pains that I sustained have been for nothing? And those cities in the malodorous state of soreness and worms, passing the nights in the cold air. And I have undergone all trials and troubles and pains, day and night, until I succeeded in bringing bread to thee. For your surplus of bread is no longer allowed to me, as I can scarcely take my own food and divide it between us. I pondered in my heart that it was not right that those shouldn't be in pain and hunger for bread. And so I ventured to go to the market without bashfulness. And then the bread seller told me, "Give me money, and thou shalt have bread." I disclosed to him our state of distress. Then I heard him say, "If thou hast no money, hand me the hair of thy head, and take 3 loaves of bread in order that ye may live on this for 3 days. And I yielded to the wrong and said to him, "Rise and cut off my hair." And he rose and disgraced cut off with the scissors the hair of my head on the market place while the crowd stood by and wondered. Who would then not be astonished, saying, "Is this Sitis the wife of Job, who had 14 curtains to cover her inner sitting room, and doors within doors, so that he was greatly honored who would be brought near her? And now behold, she barters off her hair for bread. Who had camels laden with goods, and they were brought into remote lands to the poor, and now she sells her hair for bread? Behold her who had 7 tables immovable set in her house, and which each poor man and each stranger ate. And now she sells her hair for bread? Behold her who had the basin wherewith to wash her feet made of gold and silver, and now she walks upon the ground and sells her hair for bread? Behold her who had her garments made of byssus interwoven with gold, and now she exchanging her hair for bread? Behold her who had couches of gold and of silver, and now she sells her hair for bread. In short then, Job, after the many things that have been said to me, I now say in one word today, since the feebleness of my heart has crushed my bones. Rise then and take these loaves of bread and enjoy them, and then speak some word against the Lord and die. For I too would exchange the torpor of death for the sustenance of my body.
But I replied to her, Behold, I have been for these 7 years plague-stricken, and I have stood the worms of my body, and am not weighed down with my soul in all these pains. And as for these words that you speakest, speak some word against God and die. Together with thee I will sustain the evil which thou seest, and let us endure the ruin of all that we have. Yet thou desirest that we speak some word against God, and that he should be exchanged for the great Pluto, the god of the netherworld? Why dost thou not remember those goods which we have possessed, if those goods come from the land of the Lord? Should we not also endure evils, and not be high-minded in everything, until the Lord will have mercy again, and show pity to us? Dost thou not see that the seducer is standing behind thee, and confound thy thoughts in order that thou shouldest beguile me? And he turned to Satan and said, Why dost thou not openly come to me? Stop hiding thyself, thou wretched one. Does the lion show his strength in the weasel cage, or does the bird fly the basket? Now I tell thee, go away and wage thy war against me. Then he went from behind my wife and placed himself before me, crying, and he said, Behold, Job, I yield and give way to thee, who art thou but flesh, while I am a spirit. Thou art plague-stricken, but I am in great trouble. For I am like a wrestler, contesting with a wrestler, who has, in a single-handed combat, torn down his antagonist and covered him with dust, and broken every limb of his, whereas the other one lies beneath, having displayed great bravery, gives forth sounds of triumph, testifying to his own superior excellence. Thus thou, O Job, art beneath and stricken with plague and pain, and yet thou hast carried the victory in the wrestling match with me, and behold, I yield to thee. Then he left me abashed. Now, my children, do you also show a firm heart in all the evil that happens to you, for greater than all things is firmness of heart.